So we already talked about every single Mario game we could get this year and every single Nintendo game that actually might get announced this year. But in today's video, I want to focus on the big stuff, like Donkey Kong Country Returns HD. Yeah, obviously that's not what I'm talking about here. I know I bring up that game a lot, but trust me when I say I have no hate for Donkey Kong. I mean, I told you Tropical Freeze is one of my favorite games of all time, so I absolutely loved what Donkey Kong Country Returns brought to the table first when I played it so long ago. It's just the fact that it's coming out for its second time after already coming out on the 3DS, so it doesn't hit that heavy game mark for me this year. I'm pretty sure any remake or remaster doesn't do that for a lot of people, including Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. I know a lot of people are excited for that game, and there is going to be added content, but it's not the heavy hitters that I'm looking for. So yes, in today's video, I'm talking about what I believe is going to be the biggest game of the year. Right before we get into that, you guys have been so excited for Switch 2, probably just as much as me, because we got 662 brand new subscribers yesterday, which is nuts. Like, genuinely one of the most subscribers we have ever gotten in a single day. So I want to thank you guys so very much, and let's see how many we can get in today's video. Probably nowhere near that, but let's try to at least get half. But thank you guys so much. You're amazing, and let's dive into what the biggest Nintendo game could be in 2025. I want to start off with what we know, and I'm going to say right now, I think Metroid Prime 4 Beyond has a chance to be the biggest game of the year. Not just because it's the only really big game that we know of so far. I believe there's going to be others. However, I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on this game just because it's Metroid, and the series is relatively niche for a lot of people still. It's not one of those big mainline Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, you know what I mean? So a lot of people aren't really seeing the whole vision of this. I think this game is going to be extremely popular, especially if it does a lot for Switch 2. If this is an out-the-gate Switch 2 game or some type of cross-release between Switch 1 or Switch 2 with an awesome campaign, awesome graphics, cinematics that are like really high level as well. Also, if it has an online multiplayer mode like Metroid Prime 2 Echoes did, where you could battle others online, I couldn't see how possibly this game couldn't be one of the greatest for next year. With an amazing campaign, multiplayer, awesome graphics and story, seriously, what else could you ask for from this game? The past Metroid Prime games have reviewed very well, so I'm very curious to see how well this one's going to do, especially with its restarted development to the point where they wanted to make this game as perfect as they could. It makes me believe that they know what they're doing, and that this game is going to come out without a hitch, and I can't wait to see what they've been cooking up. Another huge Switch 2 game that's probably going to be debuted on Switch 2 is Pokemon Legends ZA. Pokemon Legends absolutely changed the formula for Pokemon, allowing us to move around in kind of an open world or open zones landscapes, which allowed us to go around and collect Pokemon and battle pretty much wherever we wanted to, which was really unique and cool at the time. Throwing Pokeballs and smacking them in the back of the head is something that would become extremely addictive, and even wanted fans to see more games like this, and started brainstorming other Legends games that the Pokemon company could actually make, and of course, we're getting Pokemon Legends ZA. This game will be referencing the 9th gen of Pokemon and placing us in Lumio City. In which way, we really don't know so far, but it seems like it's going to be super interesting and maybe being more city-based instead of nature-based. But either way, I think this is going to be a huge hit for a lot of gamers in 2025. I can definitely see this being one of the best sellers, but will it be the best game? I don't know. It's up to Game Freak to finally fix the problems with their games, with it being just horrible looking for one, and extremely glitchy, laggy, and unfinished, so hopefully this game is maximized to its full potential on Switch 2 hardware. That's really what I'm hoping. Who could have seen this one coming? Of course, there's going to be two on this list that you saw coming from a mile away. It's definitely more than time for the next 3D Mario game, and I'm not just saying, yes, obviously this is going to be a huge game for this year if it is actually releasing, but I think it's going to be one of the biggest games Nintendo's ever made. It's been so long since Odyssey, I'm starting to lose my mind here. I think there's a chance of a really huge open world 3D Mario game that takes inspiration from Bowser's Fury, the side mode to Mario 3D World, which gives us this massive landscape with multiple different terrains, different biomes to just kind of explore, run around, platform on, swim in, and do platforming challenges in order to collect some type of power stars, moons, or whatever they want to go with this time around. If this game is on the same scale as Breath of the Wild and the same amount of ambitiousness, giving us a massive world to explore with tons of things to do, I can't see how possibly this couldn't be Game of the Year. I mean, this just sounds like a dream come true waiting to happen, and they're probably perfecting all the last minute details as we speak right now. I mean, I seriously just just can't wait to see the thing and see exactly what they've been working on for so long now. It almost makes me want to believe 100% that it has to be some type of open world Mario game with the long development time. This game is going to be massive for tons of reasons, especially if it's a launch or a holiday title, which also brings me to my next game that could also fit in the same category as a launch or holiday title, and that's Mario Kart. 2 years of classic Mario Kart tracks coming back in the form of DLC and the booster pass for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I think the very last thing people want to see with the Switch 2 reveal is freaking Yoshi's Circuit again. I mean, I love that track, but come on. Yes, please show us a new Mario Kart. I have like this irrational fear that we're going to get this new trailer and it's just going to be Mario Kart 8 Deluxe shown off again, but this time in a higher frame rate and resolution, it just looks better and you could play it now on Switch 2. Please drop this game in a freaking pit somewhere in Arizona. I can't do it anymore. I love Mario Kart 8 more than the next person, and the DLC was awesome, but even I know when it's time to move on, and it's time to move on. I'm fully expecting us to finally see the next Mario Kart game, and I do think that's going to be revealed very soon, and I think it could be a very big launch game or holiday title. And this is the game that I think a lot of people are keeping their eyes on. You see how well Mario Kart 8 Deluxe sold? It's the reason why it's been going on for so long. It's the reason why it even deserved to get DLC. It's just because the game is massive. It's one of the biggest best-selling video games of all time. But Nintendo's going to want to capture that lightning in a bottle and try to replicate it for Switch 2, and I think the best way to do that is to launch the game very early with Switch 2 and have constant, consistent updates over multiple different years as we continue through the life cycle of Switch 2. The same way we got that giant booster pass of DLC, we should get something like that from the very beginning, giving us tons of updates like new tracks, new characters, and just tons of things that we can add to the game over time in order to keep people invested and keep people purchasing throughout the entire life cycle of Switch 2. All the games that I mentioned so far are going to be pretty huge, but this game in particular has the chance to be absolutely perfect, not with just how good the game is, but also with its sales and with its connection with fans, considering the fact that you also can play Mario Kart online. So if they also have some fun online modes and great connectivity, I can't see why anybody that's anyone wouldn't want Mario Kart whatever the next game's called on their Switch 2 day one. So I'm hoping Nintendo is smart about this, and this is going to be a huge game for them this year. It would only make sense after waiting almost 11 to 12 years for the next Mario Kart game. When I look at the list of anything else that could be announced for 2025, realistically, I don't see many other games making the cut. Like, for instance, I don't think it's time for the next Kirby or Splatoon, and I also don't think we'll see Smash Brothers. It's definitely time for Smash Brothers, as it's closing in on like 7 years now, but I don't think it's going to make the cut for 2025. It might get announced, but we won't actually get a release. I kind of wanted to include a Mario Maker or even Luigi's Mansion, but I still feel like those might be year 2 games. So the main thing that came to my mind is, what about Star Fox? It's been so long since Star Fox Zero back on the Wii U. At this point, everyone's waiting to see what in the world's going to happen with this franchise. Is it dead in the water? Is it going to continue? I think a lot of people would love to see Star Fox return, especially if they put in effort into this game the way they do with some of their bigger IPs like Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey. So imagine if we got that same amount of effort, but for a new Star Fox game this year. Oh my goodness, it could be massive. Being able to fly in and out of planetary systems and into the galaxy and into space and back onto the ground, hopping out of the vehicle, kind of like Star Fox Assault, picking up weapons and maybe fighting people, going back into the air to have dogfights. Maybe there's different game modes like a giant war, kind of like Ground War in Call of Duty, where you and your team of like 10 different players go up against another team of 10 different players, or you can have a 4v4 dogfight in the air, or a 4v4, ground fight with guns. It could just be so cool and kind of like Nintendo's take on Call of Duty in a way. A huge multiplayer online Star Fox game would be great, but even at this point, I'd take a huge single-player focused Star Fox game that's different, completely different than anything that we've gotten in the past. So no more of that same Nintendo 64 story retold over and over and over again with Andros. Please make it a new original story. But I feel like if they really did give the next Star Fox game as much time and effort and money that they do with these other IPs, I think there's no way in the world that Star Fox could fail this time. So I think these are going to be the heavy hitters of this year. Do I still think that, all these are going to happen? I don't know. It's hard to say. But I think that these are the good ones to keep your eyes out for. I think there's still going to be tons of smaller games thrown in as well, but these are the big ones. And man, could you imagine if all these actually came true? I don't even know how I would react. I mean, it would be one heck of a year. I think finally we would have a year that actually beat out 2017, because I still don't think 2017 ever ever got touched with any other year for Nintendo Switch. So we're gonna have to wait and see, but first, of course, it comes down to Nintendo revealing something. Like, Nintendo, come on, do something. So hopefully reveals are coming, big game announcements are on the way. We're just gonna have to wait patiently as we wait for Nintendo to announce stuff, and of course announce the beloved Switch 2. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Make sure that you comment down below what big game of 2025 do you think is going to be the biggest. Also, make sure you leave a like and subscribe before you head out. You guys are amazing, and I appreciate every single one of you for reaching the end of this video. But like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.